You? Is anybody?
There's Molly, folks. That means your friends the Goldbergs are here. Brought to you by Does, the new kind of soap for everything in your wash. First, let's drop in on the Dozen family. There's Daisy's young friend Donald sitting in the Dozen parlor waiting for Daisy. He's having a heart-to-heart talk with Ma Dozen.
You know, Mrs. Dozen, Daisy's different from other girls.
Is that so?
Well, sure, she's so smart. Well, she knows about housekeeping and washing, and even does.
Land sakes, Donald, Daisy ought to know about Does. She's heard me say hundreds of times what a new kind of soap it is. And she's seen how Does everything in our wash, from Pa's overalls and my towels to Daisy's rayon slips.
Gee, I'd sure like Daisy to wash my overalls someday.
Well, Donald, when it comes to washing overalls, no soap can beat Does. Pa gets his greasy black, but Does does 'em easy. Why, don't do any hard scrubbing or even fuss with the bar soap anymore, because Does gets rid of dirt all by itself.
You know, you sound like Daisy when you talk about Does.
There's just one way a body can sound about Does, and that's enthusiastic. Why, I've never seen whiter towels than Does does. Gets 'em dazzling white. White as white any soap can turn out.
Gee, Mrs. Dozen, Daisy looked pretty today in that new blue dress.
That's not new, Donald. I've Does it heaps of times. You know, that's where Does is different. It's safer for those nice colors I wash. Yet you can't beat Does for getting out tough dirt. Does everything.
Gee, did you ever stop to think Daisy and Does are sure a lot alike? Nothing can beat Daisy either. She's got everything.
Well, Donald, that's real devotion. And you know, ladies, you'll be just as devoted to Does. Why, it's the only leading granulated wash day soap that gives longer life to colors, plus unsurpassed whiteness and real cleaning power for tough dirt. Change to Does, D-U-Z. It does everything in your wash. And now, the Goldbergs. You know, you can't change a person's whole nature by one little incident. And so after Molly got over her first shock and disappointment in her daughter-in-law and realized the duplicity of the girl and of George for worming their way into the Goldbergs' hearts only to swindle them, well, then Molly's first thought was to help these two young people out of their trouble. But Jake is made of sterner stuff. Jake loved Grace. Jake was taken in completely. And Jake wants to see George, at the very least, get what's coming to him. So, Jake called the constable. And Molly is calling on all her powers to prevent a misdeed from becoming a series of personal tragedies. Listen.
What is the tootling? What is Newton tootling like that so much? Tootling, telephone, take it. I can converse now no matter what or who.
Well, do you want me to answer it?
Answer it, but with abbreviations.
All right. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
It's Rosie.
What, Rosie?
Well, the constable is
Who are you
outside.
telling the constable is outside?
Uncle David.
Oh, where is he?
He's at the post office.
Mail from Sammy? Let
Yeah.
me, please. Let
Yeah,
me
Ma.
wait. Tell him to stop tootling already. The prisoner will be there. They will get the prisoner. Tootling and tootling. Hello, David? Yes, David, dear. I know. I wish I could run away also. I can't stand it, David. It's too much. Huh? I know what they did. I know their crime. I know very well. Are we without stones to throw the first pebble? All right. No mail from Samuel, huh? All right, David, don't fall to pieces. Don't come here until after they take George away. If you can't stand it, I can't stand it neither. All right. Goodbye, Doc. Goodbye. Oh, George? Why, what is the tootling so much?
Ma.
Can't he wait a minute?
Don't.
Why is he in such a hurry?
Mama,
Why?
Dad.
Don't waste your pity on me, Mrs. Goldberg. I don't deserve it. The constable is here. Tell him to come in and arrest me or let me go out.
Did you say goodbye to Grace, George?
Yeah, she thinks I found a good job. That's what I wanted to think. Well, goodbye. If they don't give me life, I'll be seeing you all again.
Jake?
Are you ready, George?
Yes, I'm ready.
Jake?
If this is too much for you, Molly, go into the next room.
George, you said you wanted to go up and say goodbye to Grace.
Well, I
Go up. Go up. This time. Nobody's in such a hurry.
I did say goodbye,
Well,
but I'll just write a little note,
There
maybe.
is no time.
Rosalie, help George. There is time. There's plenty time. Jake,
Don't Jake me.
Jake, dear, you didn't tell the constable yet. I mean about
What do you mean?
I mean, Jake, darling, you didn't tell the constable the whole story. You didn't spoke to him yet. Maybe, Jake, shouldn't everybody get another chance?
The law will give him his last chance.
There's laws and laws, Jake.
Molly, don't stop.
Jake, listen to me. If you didn't tell Newton yet, darling, if you didn't say yet, we can just make
We cannot.
to forgive Jake, darling.
This is out of my hands.
Jake, darling.
Molly.
Am I saying George's crime wasn't bad? It couldn't be worse, Jake,
Two
darling.
people entered your
I
home.
know they entered my home. They entered my home. They both came for no good. They trampled on my feelings. They came to steal my wealth. I know every... Constable?
Yes, ma'am. I kept sitting in my car. I thought you said you was coming out.
Well, we wanted you, Constable, dear, to come indoors.
Yeah.
Please sit down.
Yeah, but what's all the excitement?
Well,
It's a
that's...
big thing, Constable, and we need your advice. Constable, are you comfortable on that chair?
Yes,
Molly.
Jake, let me. I know all the details. Rosalie, please make yourself comfortable,
Constable, it's like...
Mr. Newton, Constable, dear, I'm certain you are aware of the significance of all the social upheavals that are occurring in our midst right here in Glastonbury.
Molly, that is
Jake,
not...
allow me. Constable, dear, are you comfortable?
Yes, Mrs. Goldberg.
Yes, dear. Bring in some of my most delicious cookies and put them on a platter.
Molly.
Jake, I want the constable to be very comfortable. What I have to say will take more than just a moment.
And what I have
I
to
know,
say...
Jake, darling, how you feel. I know very well how you feel. Something must be done, and I mean to do it. But without the cooperation of all socially minded people, I cannot proceed.
Mr. Goldberg, it's Mrs. Goldberg.
Thank you very much, Constable. Constable, you who are so close to crimes in prison, I'm sure you in your idle moments must perhaps think sometimes...
Molly.
You think I'm... Please. You think, and I'm sure as we all think, who and why are our prisons crowded to overflowing? What makes criminals of people?
Well, I'll tell
Some people say we are born bad. I don't believe that. And I'm sure an intelligent man like you, Constable, you don't believe it, not neither.
Well,
Rosalie, are you bringing the cookies, dear, from dear Mr. Newton, the constable?
Miss Goldberg.
I'm coming to the point of my discussion. If Mr. Goldberg called you, it was right that he should call you
Molly.
gentlemen. I'm so... How shall I say it?
Don't.
Jake, my idea, Mr. Newton, is that something must be done before the prison doors close on human beings.
Yes, but...
Yes, but what? That's why I think... George? Oh, come in, George. Constable, you know my good neighbor, George Stevens. Mr. Newton, George Stevens. He worked just recently for Masha across the road.
Oh, yes, how do you do?
We're just discussing, George. We're just discussing crime and its causes. And I say that nobody is born bad. Take, for instance, Mr. Stevens. Constable, just take Mr. Stevens, George. It wasn't necessary for him to make his life a good life
Mrs.
because his father and his father before him didn't care much for the boy. And the mother's love is not enough. And the school can do everything, Constable.
Mrs. Goldberg.
The cookies, Rosalie.
Molly, this is no
Are you
time...
interested, Constable?
Yes, I...
Now, you, I am sure, have noticed the delinquency in Glastonbury because it's very pervasive and very prevailing. And all the mothers are going now to defense plans. And the little children, you know, are in the nursery schools. And Constable, dear Constable, is the older children, girls of 14 or 15, and boys of the like age, who are beginning to run around without the firm hand of guidance on them. And without care and without guidance, the generation will be ruined,
Well,
Constable. That's why I called you, Constable,
Mrs.
dear.
Goldberg.
George wants to do all he can because he knows what delinquency can do. First, Constable, you know it's bad company, and from bad company,
This is all
Constable...
nonsense.
There's nothing more that I'm more interested in. Nothing.
Oh, thank you.
After all, I'm not just some hard servant of the law here to look after the town.
Surely.
I was born and raised here, and I kind of feel that I'm responsible, like everybody else is, to keep this town what it's always meant to us.
Certainly.
And this town is more than just the buildings, you remember, or the trees or the fields.
Not the fields.
Sure, that this town is the young people in it. And if they go bad, then nothing will be left. So I'm not interested in crime, but in preventing it.
This is all
It's
nonsense.
not nonsense,
Indeed,
J.C.
this is not nonsense. And if you have any suggestions...
Indeed, I have, Constable. Everybody, I say, must have a chance. George, if you didn't met understanding people, you don't mind if I tell Constable Newton a little bit?
Mrs. Goldberg,
it was
what's the
George's
use?
good fortune at one time to meet people that were willing to give him another chance. And from that moment on, Constable, see yourself. You see before you George Stevens, an upright, standing man standing. You tell me, Constable Newton, wasn't it better to give him another chance? Didn't the human kindness of these people do more than just...
Well, I'm sure of it, and I know that giving a person another chance...
Molly.
You see that? You see, I'm only holding George up as an example because he was fearless enough to tell me his story and how he, through understanding, withstood the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and came smiling through life under rough seas. But the sea broke out, and now he stands at the helm of a ship facing the rainbow. And I thought if we could show to all the adolescent boys and girls that crime does not pay, I'm sure George would help you and be happy to save the coming younger generation, Constable.
George, if you could do that, I think I can get every single outstanding citizen in town interested. If you will help, George.
Of course you'll help, Constable, dear. Of course you'll help. You'll be glad to help, Constable, darling. Please take a cookie.
Well, Molly can twist and turn, and she can cover and hide. But no matter what she does, she comes up holding the gold ring. And this time it looks as if Molly is not only going to help George, she's going to make George help himself. You know, many times people judge us not so much by what we know as by what we don't know. For instance, take what young Dickie Dozen said the other day. You know, I started teasing him about that cute little girl next door, and Dickie said,
Who, her? The big freckle face. Gosh, she's so dumb she doesn't even know what Does is.
well, now, Dickie, you certainly ought to tell her. Tell her Does is a new kind of soap for everything in the wash. Work shirts, towels, to pretty rayon slips. Yes, friends, compared to other leading granulated wash day soaps, Does gives longer life to the pretty colors you wash, plus unsurpassed whiteness for towels and linens and real cleansing power for the dirtiest clothes. So try Does. It does everything in the wash. And friends, remember, this is wartime. Don't waste Does. All soaps contain vitally needed war materials. So save up your dirty clothes and wash several loads in the same Does suds. See to it that every bit of Does you use does more. Be sure to listen to the next episode of The Goldbergs, written for you by Gertrude Berg. Molly's smokescreen to hide George turns into the exact opposite. This is Clayton Collier speaking and reminding you to do as the Dozens do. Let Does, the new kind of soap, do everything in your wash.